Welcome to Something to Talk About from the Bainbridge Island Senior Community Center. Today we're going to talk about food resilience. Carol Appenzeller and John Fossett are here, and we're going to talk a little bit about growing for Helpline and other ways that you can make your own food sources a little bit more secure. We'll get to that in just a minute. I would like to acknowledge that we are meeting and living on the ancestral homeland of the Suquamish, the people of the clear salt water, who have been stewards of the lands and waters on which we reside since time immemorial, and we are learning to be better stewards in part by paying attention to their guidance. Also, I'd like to thank Fieldstone Communities of Bainbridge Island for being a sponsor of Something to Talk About. Fieldstone offers independent and assisted living and memory care up on Rolling Bay. They have day stay and respite care programs. They'd love to give you a tour and let you find out more about what they have. They'll even feed you a free meal if you give them a call in advance, 206-594-1010. That's 206-594-1010. Carol and John, thank you very much for joining today to give us a little bit of information about food resilience. Can you tell us a little bit about the programs that you're involved in? And we'll go from there.
Go ahead, Carol.
How about you do that, John? John?
John, you get to start.
I get to start. Okay, so I met Carol because of we were looking to do gardening programs at the library a couple of years ago, and I didn't feel as though I had enough expertise, and I still don't, just to be clear. I'm learning. And Carol just happened to walk in one day and said, "I understand you're looking to do a gardening class. Let's talk." And that was the beginnings of Veg Club, which is the first Tuesday, February through October, the first Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. on Zoom. And we send out the links, and Carol can actually put out the contact for that. But what if Veg Club is just about, basically, we're trying to do inexpensive approach to organic gardening with a small carbon footprint. And we like to reuse, recycle anything we can. And we love getting to know more gardeners. So it's about community for us as well. And then, Carol, did you want to say something about food resiliency, the team?
Oh, yeah. John and I are the co-leads for the food resilience team for Bainbridge Prepares. So there are two components to that. One is stored emergency food, but the other one is community growing, because when you learn to grow, especially in community with other people, you not only can have a garden full of food in an acute emergency like an earthquake, but you have skills and a network of knowledgeable and generous friends to help you in that emergency. And there are fast emergencies like earthquakes, but there are also slower ones like COVID and climate change and what the food banks are facing right now. And all of growing is very relevant to all of those. It seems like, oh, you'll just have some lettuce after an earthquake, but you can have a lot of food, and you can also have skills, and there are different kinds of emergencies.
So how does that work with the skill set of Veg Club? That seems like it would be a very compatible way to connect those
Certainly. Two. Veg Club has, this year we have 16 events. Some are Zooms, some are classes in person, some are field trips, and each of those helps you learn to grow. If you've never grown, we have a Zoom for that, and many of the events are for that as well. If you are an experienced grower, there are lots of ways to grow longer in the year. Like, you can harvest from underneath the snow in our climate, so you can have food in your garden all year long, so you can get those more advanced skills.
So the kind of food that I get all year long, as I mentioned before we started, were things like kale and herbs that are hardy throughout the year.
Mm-hmm.
There are probably some things that you are aware of that I might not have, that don't come to mind. More resilient kinds of crops that that we might not normally think of. Any thoughts about how to broaden our awareness of what might be local crops? I think about the Squamish, who obviously were able to live with food all year long, and knew that there were edible things that we don't think about. So,
Oh, certainly, yes. Yeah, there are certainly wild foods like nettles that people collect. But in terms of your garden, there are at least 20 crops that you can get out of the garden. You can keep carrots in your garden all winter long. There are tons of things related to kale, like broccoli and cabbages and things like that, even some that you plant in July and they wait all the way until February and then they make a big broccoli or cauliflower head for you. So there are lots of those root veg you can keep in the soil in your garden. A lot of that starts in July. So our July Zoom is specifically about growing for winter. So we'll either have a live session of that, depending on our other events, or we will send out a recorded session.
okay, and I see that one of the links that you sent, and the links are I'll put them all in the description, but was about your YouTube, and you have YouTube's playlist from last year and this year.
Correct.
Yes, we do. And previous years. John puts
Veg,
those up.
Veg Club Kitsap YouTube. If you Google Veg Club Kitsap YouTube or Kitsap Veg Club YouTube, it should take you to our playlist or at least one of our videos. And click on it, and it'll take you to a page. We've put them in playlists by the years, and the 2024 is up there, the full year, and then we're adding 2025 as we go.
And then you also described having live get-togethers over Zoom. Is that right?
We do.
Yeah.
Can
We
you say
do.
more
So
about that?
Yes. Do you want to tell about it, John?
Sure. That was kind of new this year, and it's combination of gardening classes and then the idea of visiting gardens, which Carol and some folks put together on the edible garden for a tour a few years ago. And we were talking about it, and we really like sharing ideas. When you see somebody in a garden, someone's garden that has a good idea, you might want to incorporate that in your own thing. It's kind of hacks here and there is what we're talking about, and just aesthetic, planning how you plant things together, your succession planning, just all that sort of stuff, garden planning and everything. You get these ideas from visiting other people's gardens. And one of the things I've learned over the years just is that if you're talking with someone else who gardens, they love to share what they're doing. So this is an opportunity for us to take a group into someone's garden. It's June 8th is the first one we have, Carol?
Yes, June
Yeah.
8th. So those are the field trips that we're doing.
Yep. Yeah, and
Mhm.
we'll visit a garden on the south end, and we'll get a tour from the garden owner, and be questions, and we'll just kind of go through. And I'm just really excited for it and sharing the ideas. I'm on the tour. My wife and I, our home is on the tour probably in September, but we're also being used as sort of a placekeeper as things, because we're flexible. We know it's coming.
Right. You can help
Yes.
out when needed.
Yeah.
So I noticed in the sign up to find out about these notices and activities, you go to a Google sign up page.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Is that how that works?
Yes.
Carol has taken care of all of that. She's just wonderful in using Google Docs and getting the signups and stuff.
So what happens is I'll hit a page and then ask to sign in, and I'll
Yeah,
need to
you'll
have
give your
I'll
name.
need to have a Google account, right?
You will need to have a Google account. But if you'd like me to put you in because you don't have a Google account, I can put I was going to say I can put my email in the chat.
Okay.
Okay. And we also have the videos that we have made were originally live Zooms. And we still continue to have live Zooms.
Mhm.
So when you get those notices, you will see whether it's going to be a Zoom or an in-person or something like that.
Okay. And then the as we said earlier, the YouTubes are up, the videos are up, so you don't need special permission to watch those.
You
Open to the
absolutely do
public.
not.
Anybody wants to see them.
Oh,
Right.
yes.
Yeah. The one thing you don't get with the videos is Carol, each month, each class that we have prepares an extensive resource sheet. And we go through that almost line by line during the presentation in the Zoom video that we do during the live class. So you get access to that, which is, man, there's a lot of information there, and every single bit of it is shovel ready.
Neat. This would give somebody a sense of confidence in taking those first steps, I'm guessing.
Definitely. We can show you how to find the spot that will be most successful in your yard and give you the options where you can get compost. Do you want to do a raised bed? Do you want to put it in the ground? Lots of local resources with like price comparisons and all kinds of things. So there are a lot available.
Oh, this is so generous. And I'm thinking that one of the things that that you were talking about that sort of got us started about this is the idea of the fact that not only will you help yourself, but this helps build a network for our whole community. And that's sort of centered on Grow for Helpline. But can you tell us a little bit about the ways that people can connect once they feel as though they're comfortable themselves and they end up with a little extra? And as you said, you know what to do in a disaster going forward too.
Mm-hmm.
So that list
Yes.
of that list of that you sent me about Grow for Helpline and contacts had a lot of things that you can do. If you might kind of walk us through some of those things.
I would be glad to. I have slides, or I can just talk about that. Do you
Let's
have a
just talk.
preference? I'm pleased to just talk. Okay, sure. One thing I'd like to say is if you don't have anywhere to garden in your own home, near your own home, there are several what are called pea patches or community gardens. So you just get on the list, and then for a reasonable fee per year, you get to use tools and the garden space, and you get your own patch. So you can grow there. Often the wait lists are quite long, but people will say, oh, I didn't get on it because it was a 2-year wait list. And I say, how long ago was that you didn't get on it? And they said 3 years ago. So they would be on already. But they're still interested. So you might as well put yourself on, because often people drop off and
Yeah,
you
the
get
2-year
ready.
the 2-year wait list can be a year if things change in the garden, for
Yeah.
example. So
Yes.
so you just
Yes.
kind of ask around to see where there might be a community garden. I know there's one up at Battle Point, there's one at Eagle Harbor Church.
Yes, there's one on Tolo. There is one at Rolling Bay Presbyterian now. There's one called Wacky Nut on Wacky Nut Drive on the south end. I know I'm missing a lot of them. There's one at Red Pine Park. It's very tiny.
Downtown. Yep.
There are many. The video, the Veg Club video, which is called The Best Start for Your Garden, or Starting Your Garden, if you see one of those, it will go into what are available. And also, I haven't mentioned this to John, but we could put the link to the resource page in the description for that video, right? And then people would have access to that. And I can also see if I can talk and find that resource page at the same time and put it into the chat, but that would have to be a resource page for, I could give it to you, Reed,
Yeah,
so that
sounds like a great idea.
into the description later. Yeah. So you were talking, so that is some food stability for yourself and good health and gaining of skills. But Reed, you were asking about how we help once we feel like we're stable, or if we have some extra space to grow, how we help others, right? So shall I tell about the food banks? What's going on
Yes,
for them
please
this
do.
year? So food banks all over the place are having more people show up, many more people, because of cuts to individual food assistance like SNAP and women, infants, and children's programs and seniors programs. And also there's economic stress and pricing and things like that are causing more and more people to go to the food banks. But the food banks have had a lot of cuts themselves. For example, Helpline had its commodities cut by 40%. So I thought, oh, that's just dried beans, or it's just not stuff that's very expensive. It actually is milk, meat, fruits, and vegetables. So that's a lot. Also, they used to be given money to support local farms, so they would benefit by buying from local farms. That money's been cut. So they are looking to us to help. And if you think every year they, need our help, and it's always nice to do, it is very important this year. They anticipate feeling this now, basically. So they've asked us to help, and we have 5 different ways to help. There's a page called Grow for Helpline that's going to be in the description. And it tells you 5 ways to help. So do you want me to list those, Reed?
Yep, that would be good for people who might be
Okay.
listening.
Sure.
Mickey listening?
You can, oh yes, you can grow in your home garden. There's a old program called Grow a Row, and on Bainbridge a little while ago we called it Victory Gardens, and people intentionally plant extra in their gardens so that they can share. So if you're somebody who already plants some in your garden, if you have extra space, or you realize that you can do some space saving by growing your cucumbers and things up trellises, and then you have more space, then you can, that's not supposed to be happening. You can plant an extra row for Helpline. Another way that you can grow if you don't even have a garden is that you can help at Peaceful Morning Farm. Peaceful Morning Farm is an entirely food bank farm. They give 90% of their produce to the farms. The other 10 to the food bank, sorry. The other 10 goes to the volunteers because it's run exclusively by volunteers. It's right in the middle of Bainbridge, and in order to increase their production this year, their limiting factor is not field space, it's not ideas, it's not crops they could grow, it's us. So if you have consistent time that you can spend, like you can be there 2 Saturdays a month or something like that, even one, or Wednesday evenings or something like that, as long as the farmer can have some consistent help, then he can know that he can put this crop in because there'll be somebody there to weed it, or he can start these because there'll be somebody there to plant it. He's my neighbor, his name is John Chang, and he already comes home at midnight from the farm. So we say, what's that banging sound? So he works really hard, and there already are volunteers, but we could increase his production. That's also true at another pea patch called Rock Farm on Tolo, run by Anita Rockefeller. She needs help. She already sends at least a ton. Somebody said this year it's 3,000, or last year it was 3,000 pounds. And John Chang does between 4,000 and 5,000 pounds to the food banks. Let's raise that because they can eat it all up. So we can work with these farmers, and we don't even have to have our own place to grow. And lastly, if you have a fruit tree, I think I'm only on number 4, and I don't remember what 5 is. If you have fruit trees, there are ways to make them less wormy, bigger apples, so all the apples aren't the size of ping pong balls. They're not twisted and things like that. And you can learn about that so that we can harvest usable fruit you can learn about that this coming Thursday, May 22nd at 6 o'clock with Fruit Club. So at Fruit Club, we're going to go through what Helpline needs us to grow. And then we're going to brainstorm and talk about the challenges and ways that Fruit Club can help, the members can help each other to help get the fruit that's falling all over the ground on the island.
Yeah.
To make sure that it's a quality where it's not, the plums aren't bursting open and fermenting. So we just want to make sure we give them some fruit that's usable and storable.
Right. And the other one, I think, looking at this list that you sent me before, is donate unused veg beds.
Oh yeah, some people are too busy, or your back just won't let you do it anymore. So they say, oh, I have garden beds, but I'm not using them. I would be very glad to help you find a grower who would grow for Helpline. So I have done that already, and there's a form called Growing Connections, and you just go there and say what's your situation is, and I'm not going to force you to accept a particular grower, or if you want to be a grower, I'm not. It's an arrangement between the two parties, but I can connect you.
And
So
that's a great list. The other thing that's at the bottom of that list that you sent me are some of the things that are great to grow.
Yes, indeed. Let me look at my reference for that.
And Ivy, you were talking about how you love to grow flowers. One of the things on that list is flowers. That flowers are something that are very welcome.
Ivy, something I like about flowers and herbs is we're kind of recognizing the humanity of the people who are at the food bank, not just going, potatoes are important, but it's not just endless, impersonal stuff. It's like we thought about them. So I think that's another thing to do. So as far as what Helpline would like us to grow, in terms of vegetables, I talked with Leon Risto, the head of the food bank, the manager, and she said varieties are popular in stores. There's a reason they're popular in stores. And I thought she just meant don't send them really obscure stuff. But she said even choosing to grow slicing or English cucumbers and green beans, regular green beans, rather than lemon cucumbers and Romano beans, which are flat and starchy. So she said, just think regular grocery store. Some things that she said they never get enough of are peas and sweet peppers and tomatoes and garlic. I was surprised that they don't have enough garlic. Yeah. And then she said commodity crops are important. And I thought, but the government must still send you bags of potatoes, right? But she said things like corn and carrots and onions and potatoes and even small squashes like delicata, those have been cut, reduced. And also when they get the onions and potatoes, she said they're in terrible shape. So she ends up having to cull and having to spend on potatoes and onions when she could spend somewhere else. So potatoes are a pretty low maintenance plant. So if you think, oh, well, I don't have really time to go weed a bed all the time or something like that, or but I could put potatoes in, that might be very useful.
That's great.
Yeah, I think, and they don't need more chard. They think they're full up on chard. And in early summer, they get what I call the lettuce bomb going off, because in spring, gardeners love to plant lettuce. And then it starts to bolt and we end up down there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And so those are things that you might think about growing for yourself, but probably not the ones that are going to be as valuable at the food bank.
Well,
Yeah.
that's early summer because we all go nuts and put lettuce out in the springtime. We gardeners like to put lettuce out and it starts bolting. But you know what? I was thinking about it. July and August, she probably needs lettuce again. So you might plant some more, just not maybe first week of June.
Got
For
it.
harvest in the first week of June.
Right. John, anything you want to add about this, your experience with helping out on these programs?
What I can say is this is by attending the Veg Club classes, I do the tech and stuff in the background, so Carol can focus on delivering the content to the people there. I have gained a lot more knowledge and a lot more confidence in my ability to garden. I'm still not ready to call myself a gardener, but I think I'm a lot more assistant. I provide a lot more assistance to my wife, who is the gardener, than you know, when I was ripping out stuff that she didn't think I was weeding when she didn't want me to rip that stuff out. Yeah, Veg Club has been a huge help in my gardening journey. And I would invite everybody, if you can make it to one of the classes or one of the field trips, certainly go to Kitsap Veg Club YouTube and check out the videos, because you will learn something. It doesn't matter what level of gardener you are, because it's a great resource.
And you mentioned earlier that that Helpline was had in the past been given federal subsidy money to help with supporting local growers, that they would
Yes.
buy local farms. So I'm guessing that that's going to hurt local farms if Helpline is not one of their customers. So maybe that's another way that we can commit to trying to keep things growing locally, is by learning about local farmers.
For sure. I had a note to make sure and say this during this podcast, is that the local farms not only are not getting that money, but they have made investments like in infrastructure, maybe it's irrigation piping and seeds and all kinds of things. And they expected to get some federal and county funds for that. And those are not there. So now the money's gone on their portion, but the other part isn't coming in. It's at least severely disrupted, but there's no, as far as I've heard, no news on it coming in. And so any way that we can support farms, certainly by growing for ourselves, I don't mean that we shouldn't be buying from the farmers. So do we know all the ways? Do we know what CSAs are? And we know we have a farm.
Yeah, just run through that, please. Yeah, CSAs are the idea of committing to work with a farm to get vegetables through the season.
Yeah, you subscribe and then you go pick up vegetables. Some of them have sort of a shop and then you get to choose your veg. Like you give them a subscription, you buy that subscription for the year. Some of them have, they'll give you a container, but lots of times you have many choices of veg. So there are lots of those. And if you go to the Friends of the Farms website, you can get a list of local farms and see which ones have CSAs for you.
Okay,
We also have the
thanks.
farmers market. Yeah. We have the farmers market, lots of them. Some of them have farm stands. There's one at the Suyamatsu farm on Day Road, and Winnie Farm on McDonald has a farm stand. They have meat and eggs and all kinds of things.
There's
When
one
you
at the
do a
top of
CSA,
Madison.
then are you just subscribing to one farm, one grower?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have an idea?
But they often,
Give me an idea what the annual subscription would be.
I don't know what the annual
Well,
subscription cost would be.
Yeah,
I should find out.
my experience has been that you can get at a couple of different levels with many of these CSAs. And then there's a Kitsap delivery service, which
It's at Fresh.
yes, which is a similar kind of a thing of supporting local farms, but you shop online.
Oh,
Kitsap Fresh, it's called.
okay.
They used to do the
Yeah.
pickup at the hall there, or the Grange Hall on Madison, but I don't see the sign anymore. Have they relocated?
Yeah, I think yes, they have a new location.
Okay.
And then you were saying farmers markets is also a way to, I mean, you can obviously, if you're shopping at a farmer's market, you can talk to the farmer there and see if they have a CSA.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, several of them at the farmers market do have CSAs, or at least they have a farm shop where you can go. I have a tendency to just be at the grocery store and think, oh, I'll just pick up carrots, I'll pick up onions, but I really need to be more intentional about that and wait until Saturdays and
Saturday,
go
yeah.
out and get those.
And just I looked it up, John. It's at Johnson Farm now is the pickup,
Okay.
which is at the end of High School Road.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And then let's see, the other thing that you have on your list that I think is something that we could cover is the idea of how this fits in with Bainbridge Prepares and things like Map Your Neighborhood, making connections, that network that you talked about at the very beginning, Carol. Would you say something about that, please?
Certainly. One of the best things I think about these groups like Fruit Club and Veg Club is the networks and partnerships that you form. We have built this community, and so an entire group of Veg Clubbers now have access to all these other groups. And part of what we have access to, because of the excellent work of Bainbridge Prepares and the city of Bainbridge Island, is a preparedness program that we can participate in. So do you want me to talk about Map Your Neighborhood?
I mean,
so
yeah, just
yeah.
in the context, I guess, of how this helps to draw us together. And how your neighborhood mapping, if you're part of that, can also work as part of this network of helping each other with food.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So Map Your Neighborhood is a program through the city and Bainbridge Prepares where you and your neighbors, and you define who those people are within a region. So it would be maybe your street or just a particular development or something like that. And often it's like 12 houses, although some are much larger. You learn together who your neighbors are, and then together you learn about preparing for emergencies in terms of storing water and food and preventing wildfires and all kinds of things, including Veg Club and how you can help each other, what skills and strengths you have. My neighbors participated in Map Your Neighborhood, and one of my neighbors said, Map Your Neighborhood made us a neighborhood. So we really got connected and we know each other so much better.
And I know that one of the things that I've heard about is the idea that even if you don't get much farther than just knowing who is in your neighborhood and sort of what their relative ages are or who might be there, that when a catastrophe strikes, you're much better off in terms of making connections. Things move a lot smoother just because you have some idea of who's around. And as Carol says, it can grow to something that is much richer than that.
And growing food is part of being prepared. If we have an event that shuts the bridge down, the ferries aren't visiting, we get about 3 or 4 days of food in the grocery store, restaurants, all this sort of stuff that they kick in, that's going to last us on the island. So we're going to need some sort of storage to be able to depend upon. And if you're growing in your garden, guess what? It's one less thing you have to worry about, or one less thing you worry less about. So growing food is part of being prepared. It's direct connection to Bainbridge Prepared that way.
Great. That was essentially what I wanted to cover. Ivy, is there something that you'd like to ask since you're here, or are there things, Carol or John, that we didn't get to that you wanted to
I don't have any specific questions right now. You're covering some things I have some familiarity about. I just need to decide where I'm gonna plant some veggies.
Watch
Indeed.
episode 1. It'll help
I
you.
will. I will, sure.
Actually,
Yeah,
I have
what
something.
what I gleaned from this is I haven't missed a window to start. And if anything,
no.
sounds like even July is a good time if I want to grow carrots or cauliflower, that I have
Winter-
time to get going.
Winter food, carrots, July, 4th of July.
4th of
For
July.
those carrots.
Okay.
Yes, yes. I think two things. One, Ivy, specific to your finding your place, is the video that we recorded most recently doesn't have this new app that I think is really cool, that helps you find your sunny spots. It's called Shade Map, and I believe that the link is Shade Map app.
Shade map. Okay.
Yeah, you don't, old style ones, you took your phone outside and like waved it around to see where your sun was. But this, you just sit there and you look at your property, like in a Google Maps kind of thing, and it shows you where the shade is on different days of the year at different times.
Good.
But also, I think in general, we should make sure that everybody knows about BainbridgePrepares.org, which can help you in so many ways with preparedness. There are so many teams. You can volunteer on a team if you like, or you can just take care of your own preparedness. There are just lots and lots of resources on there. And the food resilience team is one of those many teams. So please take a look at that. There are 3 preparedness links that will be in the description. But if you go to BainbridgePrepares.org, you will have a lot of resources.
Good. Yeah, I'm aware they have a lot of areas covered. I just feel like I need to focus on getting me prepared, because then I'm
Yeah,
a
for
better
sure.
neighbor if I'm prepared.
Yeah. Yes. So they don't require you to start with Map Your Neighborhood. They have individual preparedness guidance. And I should say we, because the food team is part of that.
Mhm.
Right now, the food team is revising and creating documents with the help of Becky and Dan Poppleton, who are they're really doing all of it, but they're producing great documents, support documents, and that tells so much about preparation. So I would say stay tuned for that.
Good.
We're working on those docs now.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Carol, for all this information.
Really,
And
thank you.
this is a wonderful introduction. And I think the key, given that there's all this, is to not be intimidated to take the first little step, because that's I mean, that's the challenge with many of these things. It's like, it's so far, preparedness is so far away. I don't know where to begin.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Dabble. Just
Dabble.
dabble.
And
Yeah.
and that'll get us a little further down the road. So we'll keep those dates in mind, and I'm gonna be checking out the videos, and I'm gonna sign up right now so that I'll start to get the notifications as well.